What mischief?
Hey, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it might be where you are. Welcome back to the live stream. My name is Jeff Fritz, and today is Sunday, July 28th, 2019, and we're going to write a little bit of code today. How's it going there, chat room? Good to see. Oh my goodness, look at all the folks we got here in the chat room already. Let me just run down the list up here. I see Robert Tables is here. Hello, good to see you, my friend. Always great to have Robert Tables joining us. Svava, what mischief? Oh, what mischief will we get in? Indeed.
Totes my goats.
Yeah, we're going to see some mischief today. Where do you see this? Copper Beardy, hello, good to see you. Sean is here. Good morning. Love the hype bots. Hello, Rambling Geek. Nothing else matters. Lannon BR. Lannon, check your email. You might have something in there that you need to find. Hello, is that Shiv? Welcome. Stelzy. 1999, good to see you. Welcome. Rich Ross. Hello. Welcome. Yes, Stelzy asks, is there a problem with the latest Canary Chrome-based Edge? Credge, you might hear folks call it, or Edgium. Is it broken by Twitch? I had all kinds of problems with it on Friday, and viewing Twitch. I think there's definitely a break in there. Used by me. Good to see you. Yeah, there you go. There's a confirmation from Used by Me. Musical Bookworm, hello. And Caparino, hello to the most positive programming community. Yeah, I think we're pretty positive. Absolutely. How's it going? Great to see everybody. It's an opportunity to learn something interesting. It's not a bug. Yeah, there's definitely something there. Hey, Tagaron. Hello. Good morning. I wasn't feeling too hot the other day. Let me watch how hot that mic is. Hello? Test. Hello? All right. I wasn't feeling too good on Friday. I literally had 6 meetings back to back. And woke up feeling great, so woke up and wasn't feeling great. So I decided, you know what? Let's just take a step back. Take it easy for an hour or two so we can at least be good for the work things we have to do during the day. So that was, thank you for the welcome back to the land of the living. It wasn't quite that extreme, but I'm feeling much better now. Thank you for asking. I've got my expedition leader hat on today because I'm continuing down this exercise of what's it like to migrate a server-side Blazor application to client-side. And we're finding some of the issues that are in there and figuring out how to work around them. We have 1 or 2 pieces left to finish here. I didn't get a chance to finish migrating all of my Blazor components, so I'm going to get those migrated, and we're going to talk about authentication and authorization with client-side Blazor today. Yes, our follower count is up. Let me point that out right over here. We are at 7101. If we get that number out to 8,000 by September 15th, I will dye my beard rainbow for both TwitchCon and .NET Conf. Both events are the same week. I'll just go from one right to the other, and I'll have it dyed rainbow as a salute to you, our followers, our great community here on Twitch. $8.99 to go. It flipped over to 7101 last night while I wasn't looking. Last night I ran a test stream where I was reading The Invisible Man. And it was fun. We found a couple of issues along the way. Reading on Twitch is right while I'm performing, while I'm reading the story. I want to be able to go back and correct myself, and we'll have a more tightly produced recording that goes out to YouTube or goes over to MP3s for a podcast. We've got some things to tighten up in there, some things around the production that we realized we've figured out last night, so take care of that, and maybe we'll do a couple more of those, at least finish this story and reevaluate and see if we want to do it some more. So that was some fun last night. Daniel, is that Daniel Simons? Welcome. You're new here? Well, hello. HB Listtown, good to see you. We're gonna have a great time streaming today. All right. Let's get some music playing in the background here before we go over to our code. Of course, we like to play music to code by here on stream. Today I'm going to let's play Green. There we go. This is groovy music that's been scientifically engineered. It's been designed to get you in the groove, to get you in the flow, so that whatever task it is you might be working on, whether it's coding, whether it's doing homework, chores around the house, whatever, you'll be able to listen to the music and have all those other worries, all those other things just kind of fall away and be able to focus exclusively on whatever it is you're doing. Check it out, mtcb.pwop.com. You can execute the music command there in chat and get a link out to where you can download the music. Thanks so much to our good friend, Mr. Carl Franklin, for letting us listen to his music and write some code together here live on stream. And if you enjoy his music, let him know, at Carl Franklin on Twitter, because he always enjoys hearing from you when you enjoy his music. Hey, JAF 1021 is here. Good morning. So good to see you. Let's see how we're... is that RGA Mage? I'm interested in how to make a hybrid app. Some client-side, some server-side. Is this recommended? Let me show you what I've got here. I don't think you want to mix running Blazor components on server and client-side yet. It's a technology that they're working through. Oh, you like the NASA shirt? NASA had a liftoff this week, sent another Falcon rocket up, and I don't think it docked yet with the space station. We should see it docking here in the next day or two. So, really looking forward to seeing that happen. Caparino asks, do you think 24-inch monitor at 1080p is okay for programming, or you find text a bit small? I think that's fine. 24 inches is just fine. In fact, I have two 24s turned portrait here next to my main 27-inch in the middle. So I think that's fine. Simon says, it's so inspired by the Blazor workshop and your efforts on stream the other day, I successfully added Blazor to my personal projects using the ASP.NET Core hosted Blazor template. That is phenomenal. The interesting bit being I was able to inject a view model into the Blazor page with client-side dependency injection, so no code sections. Yes. So there is a component model that you can use to do that injection, and it's pretty tremendous. There's a link to our channel Discord. Yep. Let's see here. Didn't Sanderson mix them in his Oslo presentation? You know what? I didn't see Steve Sanderson's presentation from Oslo yet. I know that's something that they're looking to do more of. It's not trivial. Hey, good afternoon, Ancient Coder. So good to see you. Let me show you. I've been talking about this for a couple shows now, but I finally got my camera installed here so we can edit some code. Hello. I'm over here now. Hi. I think this is a little bit better, and now when I'm looking at my code, I'm actually looking a little bit at the camera and a little bit off center, just a little bit. So, I do like the 27-inch monitor. 27 does feel nice, but 24 is perfectly serviceable. So, we've been working on this resource management application. This is an application we've been building for Sebastian Writing Associates so they can manage the schedules of their volunteers of their classes that they have at their organization, at their facility. They teach disadvantaged youths, folks that have physical disabilities, how to ride horses, give them lessons, and spend some time learning some horsemanship. It's proven that type of equine therapy helps a lot of folks, and for those people that need a little bit of help, they're there to provide that support as a therapeutic facility. So we're helping them out a little bit by writing some software here. We're pretty close to being done this minimum viable, but I decided to take a slight detour and convert all of the components we've been building from server-side Blazor, that is, their components that are rendered exclusively on the server, and their content is transmitted down to the client. I've been modifying it, I've been updating it so it runs client-side. So we have a great experience that runs on the client in your browser using WebAssembly. So we're going to take a look at finishing that little bit of update with our components. And, here we go, I was about to say it. And then we're going to dial in security. I went quieter when I changed scenes. That's interesting. I can turn that back up. Because everything's managed by an external mixer. Interesting. Sounds fine. All right, good. Good. All right, so let's get back into the code here. This is the project. It's out here under Fritz and Friends Resource Management. And you can click through here. You can find this project if you'd like and submit some pull requests. You can see some of the pull requests up there on the crawl at the top of the screen. So that's very cool to be able to recognize and appreciate some of the folks that have committed some changes into some code, some changes, some enhancements to the project. So let me open it here in Visual Studio. So it is, where is it? Resource Management. Sure, I can trigger that email to be sent again. do that. There you go. And there we go. Let's move Visual Studio to the correct page. I don't know why that's still spelled with the capitals there. So let's take a look at our Solution Explorer. Right, it was already pinned. I didn't need to move it. Now, should I move Solution Explorer over to this side? I think it's okay over there. It happens to you also when I change scenes that I go quiet? That's weird. That's weird because I have the exact same mixer on both scenes and it isn't changing. Let me do a refresh over here. There we go. Fantastic. So, hey, I just wanted to drop a quick line here. Lannon's mentioning there in chat. We just accepted Lannon in, and he's now the latest member of the Live Coders team. So check out the Live Coders team. It's over there. There's a link. Click the link, and you can learn all about the 62 different folks that are writing code live here on Twitch, including folks like Robert Tables. I think I saw Rambling Geek up there earlier, and Lannon, and absolutely, you've seen a bunch of these folks here in our chat. Big thanks to Lannon for all the work in the community, and welcome to the team. So there you go. Yeah. All right. So, let me take a look at the code here. We've been separating this out. We originally had everything in one project, and that one project really was just this resource management web project. So we had what were listed here as pages and some shared components in here that had all the things necessary to present the application inside here as Razor pages. Love the hype, love the... Yeah, absolutely. Love seeing all those emotes. Congratulations. Welcome to the team. There it is. All right. Simon asks, would I be interested in a PR for the client-side Blazor in this project to pull code sections out into a view model so as to lay the groundwork for unit testing UI logic? That is a great idea, Simon. I really like that idea. So what Simon is suggesting is when we look at this project, now let me finish explaining what's going on here. So the web project, this is an ASP.NET Core project. This is a server-side application. It runs on the server, renders, and sends down angle brackets and curly braces that are generated from ASP.NET Core. You might do the same thing with Node running on your server. Down here is our web client project, and it's built with a bunch of, it's actually targeting, to be clear, .NET Standard. This is that standard language, standard set of contracts that are being used to define interactions between different versions of .NET runtimes. In our case, this one is going to compile here on my machine and run in your browser as DLLs on top of the mono runtime that's shipped to the browser. So what, and let me rename this. That does, I get, right, there's, I've got obsessive compulsive. That's a capital N. It shouldn't be a capital N over there. When I look at this and I have these pages, I'm going to have some components that we're going to drop in here that do these different things for us. We're adding more and more view logic to them that know how to process and present the various things that are going on there. And what Simon is suggesting is what you can do is you can set up component view models that live next to these. And instead of having this code section here, all the code that's necessary to build and present that component lives in that C# class next to it. Kind of sounds familiar, like ASP.NET Web Forms. So, what we can do, right, by having this clear separation, and it is a very clear separation, there are no such things as, right, page view state, postback. These things don't exist in this world. This is all rendered and running client side, and these are view models that are being passed down. It's a very MVVM architecture, right? Model, view, view model. That you're kind of encouraged to work with here. By pulling everything out into that view model, what we're able to do then is create unit tests that execute directly against the classes that make up what would have been in this code block. While the code block is nice for prototyping and building some interactions very quickly here, when you get more complex with some of the components we've been building over here for things like the availability, which are rendering the availability component up here, right? There's all this logic that we've started to embed in here for how we create items and the various statuses and settings that we put through here. And there's even some that come through when we're looking at these other components that have some other logic in it. If we pull those out into a component view model, we can then, into a component model, we'll be able to test all of these ahead of time. And I love that idea. I think it'll be a little bit of an undertaking, but by moving them over into those external files, which for the most part is just copy these out and put them into the C# file. It's not too hard to do, but it's a little bit of an undertaking, yes, and a little bit of yak shaving to just dot the I's, cross the T's, and make sure that you have everything moved over working properly. So, hey, Binary Chef, good to see you. Hucking, good to see you. Oz Bob Wah, good day, first time live. Well, welcome, Bob. Great to see you. Thanks so much for joining us. There we are. Welcome. Zandy, hello. Daniel, I've been sick this week. Oh my gosh, so sorry to hear that. Hope you feel better. The interesting bit is injection of a repository into the view model to do the HTTP calls back server side. Yes, and that's actually a piece that I want to do here this morning as part of this. So these components are what we're going to move out into our into our Blazor library. So they shouldn't be too hard to move, and these pages here, we're going to completely rip out of the experience. We don't need them anymore. Ozbobwa says, post back via SignalR to the server if hosting code on server rather than client. Good old Steve Sanderson. Okay, so I haven't seen that video. I'm not going to open and watch that video right now. You post back typically to a controller, and that's what we're going to end up setting up over here is some controllers that will handle our data interactions on the server. Okay, so I've explained a little bit about where we are, where we're going. Let's get in. Let's start cutting this up. Let's start cutting a rug, cutting some code, something like that. I'm going to scroll down here to our components. I'm going to collapse up the dub root and our pages. Well, pages is really where we're putting everything currently with the current approach that we're using. So let's do this. I'm going to let me just grab all of these, right? I'm going to Control C. Oh my gosh, Psycho! Thanks so much for the
42 just resubscribed for 5 months.
Look at that. Thanks so much. I need to move that fountain that was over there. It's not over there. Where is it? No, it was over that way. There we go. I can do that. Need to move that over here so it's in front of my face. I'm going to take a note to do that. Move the emote fountain to the right side. All right. So I copied these. I should be able to just paste them right in here as pages, right? Cool. That was easy. Hey, Let's Code Now. Welcome.
Let's Code Now just subscribed.
Thanks so much for the subscription. And the Twitch Prime subscription. The True Ether. Thank you for the follow. I appreciate you joining us. And both Psycho and Let's Code Now brought their Twitch Prime subscriptions. If you're an Amazon Prime subscriber, so you can get free shipping, you get free Amazon Prime video, you can hook that up to your Twitch account. It's easy to click through and set that up. There's a link for you right above me here. Is that Gel-Free M? Thanks so much for the follow. Go ahead and click that Twitch Prime link up there, and it'll connect the two. It's free, it's easy to do, and it'll give you one channel subscription you can use anywhere you'd like here on Twitch. If you decide to use your Twitch subscription with me, I'll make a donation to Coder Dojo for every subscription this quarter, and every cheer will donate to Coder Dojo this all through the quarter. Coder Dojo is an organization that's building facilities, they're training trainers, so that folks everywhere around the world can have an opportunity to learn about technology. It's a organization that's doing something that's close to my heart, and I want to make sure that other folks have an opportunity just like I have. Thanks so much for everybody for your support. Always appreciate it here on the channel. So I just moved down those components. Yeah. So Namazri, we just had that link come in from Ozbaba up higher as well. Yeah. So how to do the post back to the server. So I've moved these over. I'm actually gonna. I think I can just. Let me see. What's in the? Is it the same in the imports? Now, let me grab the contents of the imports file and bring it down here. The imports file defines the layout that our pages use, and it also includes some using statements so that I can simplify referencing domain names. I don't have to punch everything in there. So now with everything moved down into this project, I'm going to delete that components folder. I don't need it anymore. And down here, let me just make sure inside my dependencies, I don't have a reference to these projects yet. So web data, I don't think I'm going to need that one. So let me get rid of that one. But I am going to make sure that I have the domain reference here. And I think I already see where we're going to have a little bit of an issue here. So my domain project is where some of those domain defined objects, right? Those objects that are specific to the domain of our project are going to be referenced and available. Now I have a feeling I'm getting a triangle here because that domain project is .NET Core. Yeah, instead of .NET Standard. What happens if I change this to Net Standard 2.0, right? It's 2.0? Yeah. All right. So if I change that over, let's see, am I going to get a build error here linking that through? Oh yeah. Yes, I am. Rats. This isn't too bad, though. I don't think this is too bad. The reason I'm getting it is because I'm referencing these data annotations, right? Data annotations are a feature that are available inside of .NET Core and .NET Framework that allow you to decorate various objects with, well, that... I thought we had it on, for sure we had it on that one. Why don't I... Where did we put the validation? I could have sworn we had the validation on these elements in here. Those changes haven't been merged into this branch. No, I thought we... Let me take a look here. So I'm in C# Fritz Resource Management. I am going to change over to my feature branch here. I can jump right into one of these files using Octotree, this plugin over here. No, it's not in that. Is it in the dev branch? No, it's not in the dev branch either. And I don't think it's in master. No. We put all that validation, or is it over here in this version? And I haven't merged it over. There's the domain, person, and if I change over to that branch, no, it's not in here either. We had all that validation that we did. Code Monkey, you have to go to church now. Have a good one. Enjoy. Are we going to use live share? Yeah, I'll turn on live share here in just a minute. Sure. Binary Chef has been fighting this problem of net standard and net core app as well. Yeah. Simon, weren't we looking to switch to fluent validation so we don't need that anymore? It's in the master? I was just looking over here at the master. Ah, it's down here. Well, I mean, that's... I mean, if we bring over fluent... Is fluent validation... let's see here. Dependencies. Yeah, net standard. We can do that. Nope. Depends on component model annotations. That's not .NET standard. Oh, maybe it is. Then why can't I reference this from my project? Right? And actually, the typer namespace availability could not be found. Oh, wait a sec. If these aren't... Yeah, right there. Alco Goblin, welcome. Thanks so much for joining us. That sure said that system component model annotations is available. Well, it's in... I should be able to use this. Right? Copy that. Manage NuGet packages. Let's see if we can get this added. The branches situation was weird when I looked at the project yesterday. Something I believe is a bit messed up with people having done PRs against different branches and against both. Yeah, you're right. I need to get on that. So there's system component model annotations. If I add that, it's not data annotations, it's just annotations. No. System component model data annotations. Yeah, it was in there. Can I get rid of that? Does it know where this is now? Okay, so I've got that. Let me... With that reference, right, that should allow this to build. Let me go grab that master branch over in the main and bring it over. Okay, so that worked. Oh, merging that master branch could be messy, couldn't it? We could use instructions in the reader.md, readme.md to define which branch repo. You're right. You're right. Let's see what we got here. Oof. Okay. Migrating the components to the client project. Let's get that committed and in there. Come on! Where is it? There we go. All right. See that it even recognizes the move. So I'll push that into my local branch. I'm going to check out my master. What's different? That's fine. I'm going to pull the upstream master over here. Right, so there I get, and it looks like it's just the changes in the domain object. Domain project. That's fine. I'll push that back up into my personal copy of it. I will check out dev, and I will merge master into dev. There it is. One more. Check out the feature branch. Let me push that one up. You know I want to do this. Give me the option to just say yes. You know? Lannon says, pulled the trigger a few days early, paid off 2 college loans. Congratulations! Oh my gosh. That is huge. That is fantastic. Woodsy, console git scares you. I'm scared I'll kill my repo. Here's the thing. It's source control. Everything is saved. So even if you mess it up, there's ways to revert and go back to things. So I just pushed up my git my dev branch. So now let me go back to the feature branch. And I will merge what was in dev down. And now... right, because I moved those files, now it's saying, oh, I don't know what this is. So let's take a quick look at the status. Right, so that's fine. We're going to update that one. That's the domain. Recurring schedule, time slot. These are the ones that have changed. This one was deleted. That's fine. And this one is getting removed. Okay. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to start Visual Studio Code to allow us to reconcile these. You're fine with using Visual Studio with Git? Sure. Oh yeah, there's a lot of people that are fine with using Visual Studio with Git. Oh, I still have that test hosted project here. Let me remove that while I'm here. Not dir. Remove item test hosted. Right, and it should come up in, yeah. Wipe that whole thing. Of course not. I know it's not empty. That's why I told you to remove it. You turkey. Come on now. I mean, really?
What's that?
Delete the project. Delete the folder. I don't know what it thinks it's doing in there. Oh, wow. It's telling me access to the server is not denied. Is not allowed. All right. I don't. I'm gonna ignore because yeah, ignore. No to all. I don't think. Yeah, let me remove this because I don't think we need that anymore, and I don't think we need this anymore. No. Wait, that's my unit test project. Yeah. Okay. So let's do this. I'm going to open the folder in File Explorer. There we go. All right, let me go back over to Visual Studio Code because I find it a lot easier to reconcile code changes over here. And of course, my extension host is broken. After seeing some of my past live streams, what made me switch back to Visual Studio is because of the Blazor support. I've run into a number of issues with C# development in Visual Studio Code. I prefer full Visual Studio, to be perfectly honest. But I've run into a number of C# issues over here. You saw, well, you didn't see, it's behind me here. The extension host keeps crashing on me here in Visual Studio Code. I've closed and reopened and uninstalled and reinstalled Visual Studio Code, and it keeps happening. And there's nothing I can do, apparently, to fix it. I've even got the team looking at it at this point. Not now. So I need to take a look at merging some of these changes between these. We added cron espresso here. That's fine. I'll let that be added. And add that for... hello. Thank you. Looking at the... over here. Sure, we'll let that be added. Why is threading being added here? Is it because we have a task being returned? I don't see it. I'll leave it be, and we'll figure out if we want to remove it later. Duration text. Yeah, I want to leave duration text here. I don't accept both changes. So I've got 2 min start times. We'll get rid of the second one. Okay. Let's see here. I don't know why this is still in... Why is that still in green? That feels like an issue. Let's see. And we have this addition down here of some additional checks. Max end time, end date time is required, and the order of those. Yeah, that's good. Except the incoming change. Now, it looks like I've got 2 of those. Nope, I did need the second one. Alright. So that's recurring schedule. I will add that. Time slot. Oh, this looks like a good one. Let's see here. I think I want to take the current change on this bit. Name, start date time, end date time, duration, status, time slot, and overlaps, then validate. I want to accept... No! No, bad. Go back. I didn't mean to click that. I'm going to edit this one by hand. Duration, status, overlaps. Because overlaps, I think, is extremely valuable here. And the validate method. I think that looks good. Availability, I don't care about. I'm just going to accept both and end up crushing this in just a minute. Day picker, razor, I don't care. Delete file. You're out of here. CJ Harbich asks, do I like Visual Studio Code over Visual Studio? I like Visual Studio Code for reviewing the changes here. Do I want to do it with... Yes. Stage it with the merge conflicts. I don't care. Merging changes. Yeah, do it. I like Visual Studio Code for being able to manage those changes. I think Visual Studio, for me, where I like to be very hands-on with my interactions with source control, and I prefer to do it at the command line. And that's me. That's after years of working with Git at the command line. I'm going to stay at the command line, and it feels good to me. I'll run a git status here. Yep, all my delete files. So let's add the rest of that. Finishing merge. Right. Yeah, I think that's right. So I should be able to get push now. And we're in a much better place with all of our code. Yep, now reload everything. So I do like Visual Studio Code for that, for managing the merge. For what it gives me as a C# developer writing code, I'm used to full Visual Studio. This is the Cadillac. This is the cream de the crop, right? For .NET developers. I'm going to use Visual Studio 2019. Yeah, Visual Studio Code is purposely missing some features because, folks, want the IDE to get out of the way. They want to have that text editor experience. And that's great. If that's the experience, if that's how you want to write code because that makes you feel comfortable, fantastic. Go for it. And it works great on every environment, Windows, Mac, and Linux. But yeah, you need extensions if you want to get those same features. The question is finding all of those extensions. Yeah, and Frank makes a very good point. That's the beauty of it. Everyone finds their way. Choose what makes you happy. You know, there's no one prescribed right way to do anything. Use the tools, use the applications that make you happy. The goal here is to be productive. I don't care what tools you use. Finish your applications. Deliver something, you know? So, use code for the script languages. Yeah, absolutely. So this is all merged, and I'm guessing now if I rebuild here on the web client, this should work properly up to the web client. Over on the server component, that's where we're going to run into some issues. Yeah. So we've got a little bit of issue here. Time slot is telling me that the IEnumerable is not available. What? Okay, that's better. Visual Studio Code is very, very good to quickly change stuff in text files. Yes, and simpler stuff to code. Absolutely. All right, so that built properly. Let me rebuild the web client. Let's make sure that works. And then, oh, there I said end that. Here we go. So we've got to wire up some of these at this point. Entity Framework Core does not exist in Microsoft. Okay. Yeah. All right, this is going to be some of the changes that we're going to need to make. Let's set up live share so that you can join me, take a look at the code, and when I get it running and live in the browser, you can connect in also. So there we go. I'm going to make this read-only. And if you want to join me and you have Visual Studio Code or you have Visual Studio 2019 open, there's the live share link. Go ahead and click through, and your initials will pop up here, and we'll see you join in. And you'll be able to take a look around, browse through all the code as I'm writing it if you'd like. You're not required to stay where I am looking at and working with the code, but it's your opportunity to take a look around, to ask questions as we're working through the stream here today. So, how's it going, Frank? Good to see you. Hey, there's that rainbow bearded paperclip. All right. Let me see. Can I open this up just a little bit more? Yeah. All right. My elbow getting cut off there. So the next set of errors here that we need to work through, and there was a hint at it earlier. We're referencing the data objects here, and the models. These things go away. These things aren't available to us on the client side. You can't access them because they're out there. Excuse me. You're running inside the browser. You can't connect back to the database directly. So we need to set up and indirectly interact with them. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to set up, instead of connecting through Entity Framework Core to make those requests and to get our data, I'm going to set up a client so that we can connect out through ASP.NET API controllers. This EF Core thing is what I was speaking about, refactoring out data access into a repository pattern. Yes. So we're going to end up creating a client object that knows how to connect in and fetch that data in the shape that we need it to present here inside the user interface. So what I'm going to do, and if you watched the Blazor workshop, this is a pattern that was used in there as well. There was an HTTP client that was set up on the client library so that it would make requests back and interact with the server so that you could get the data. All right. So, what we're going to do then, right? I'm going to remove this using statement because we're not going to be able to do it. It looks like we need our scheduling object here. The scheduling object is what's formatting the data for us when we ask for it. So, right, get my availability. Where'd it go? Where it's actually playing out the schedule. I think schedule state is in there. No. Where is it? Maybe we don't need the scheduling. Claims principal current user. This is going to get replaced with our security changes. This is going to be the big fix we're going to be doing here in the next hour. But the database context and my schedule state, I think we're going to end up removing here altogether. Maybe that schedule state we'll hang on to. I'm just realizing I don't need to get aggressive about closing those indicators that are popping up here. J1859, hello, welcome. Would be great if the EF Core team could go to lunch with the Blazor team to help make this whole thing involve less yaks. Actually, no, think about this, Simon. You don't want folks that browse and use your application over the internet can't access the database that's behind the firewall. So how do you interact with that? Right? You can't. So we need to traffic it through a middleman, through a middle service that'll shape the data appropriately for us. So that's what we're going to do. Can I share the live link again? Sure. There it is. Jumped over to your laptop. Okay. So the claims principle is going to end up going away. The schedule state, yeah, we're probably going to end up having that hang around here. Maybe we move that schedule state from our domain, from our data here. Which I don't think... Yeah, you know what? We can move this. We can pick up and move that right into web client over here. So let me add a folder here. And I'm going to call this data. Where did schedule state go? Here. Let's see if we can just cut and paste it. Cool. All right. Resource management, web clients. Does this, yeah, this one needs the expand schedule to get to the schedule manager. So we do need that reference. My scheduling project is where the logic is to calculate all the dates that somebody is available or unavailable. So I'm going to add a reference to my scheduling project. And that might work, might not work. Let me take a look. The scheduling project is NetCore App 3. What happens if we change that to Net Standard 2? What just happened? I think live share is wigging out here on me. Yes, giving everybody potentially full access to your database connection is a very safe thing for your data. No, it's a terrible thing for your data. Oh my goodness. So let me see. I'm going to change this to Net Standard 2.0. And that should be able to rebuild properly, right? I don't think I was doing anything in there that was .NET Core specific yet. There we go. That built successfully. So that means down here, the web client, yeah. So that's good. The more things that we can keep in .NET Standard until we get to the actual client, right? The actual runtime that we're running on, whether it's the web client running on Mono in the browser, or it's the server side that's running on .NET Core on the server. The more we can keep in .NET Standard, the better we're going to be in the long haul here. The more flexibility we're going to have, especially if we're going to bring in at some point a Xamarin application. CJ Aliaga.
CJ Aliaga just resubscribed for 11 months. Long live Mr. Fritz.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much for that. Very kind subscription. Yeah, we'll make another donation to Coder Dojo this quarter. Thanks so much. Let me see here. Boomy asks, what about GraphQL? Isn't that basically query data on the front end? So, GraphQL is the second coming of OData, just reinvented and changed a little bit so it uses JSON instead of XML, and a little bit of SOAP for this generation. If you go back 15 years, it's got the exact same goals as OData. It is, I will tell you right now, because I lived through the OData experience, it is the flavor of the week. GraphQL people are not going to be happy with because you have too much access to data. You're going to have too many people that are abusing it and not managing it properly. Trust me, we had all of these exact same problems with OData. It's trying to solve the exact same problem. It is a flavor of the week, and people are going to run into the same problems that we did with OData, and they're going to abandon it for something that's a little bit different, that's a little bit more restrictive by default, and you'll see that sometime in 2020, 2021. That's the cycle of these things as people abuse and misuse the technology. Right or wrong, it's going to be abandoned because you have the exact same problems as we did with OData. You're going to have pain. Doesn't OData today also support JSON? Yes, it does. It does. So, it is too open. It's extremely open, which might be good for some folks. That's great. If that's something that you want, fantastic. If it's internal, that's amazing. That also means you need to be a lot more diligent about security. So, hey Frackberg, good to see you. Google had to find a new name for an old problem and call it GraphQL is Facebook. So, you love the NASA shirt? You like the NASA shirt? Yeah. So, all right. So, my expanding schedule capabilities, they're now available, and my schedule state, we can now inject over here. I'm still not at a point where this is going to completely work, getting data back and forth, because I need to set up that client that's going to do the interaction with the server, right, and know how to get data in the right format for me. So the data that I'm fetching over here, right, I need to be able to get the current user so I can get their person ID. This is going to be a problem for a bit, but here, getting information about the person's current schedule by their person ID, that's going to be a method that we're going to need to put together. We're going to need to be able to put together to fetch that, and we're really just getting the schedule information. So this begs the question from our ASP.NET Core workshop, do we ship the entire block of the schedule that has all the IDs and things, which might not be too bad, or do we set up some sort of a view model in front of that simplifies things? So, yeah, Stelzy, it was Facebook, I think. So, yeah, and here's where it's doing the updates. So let's do this. I can inject up here, right? I can inject in, there's that thing again with the inject. An HTTP client, right? And I'll call it HTTP client, right? I'm waiting for it to blow up there. Oh, I don't know what HTTP client is. Right, HTTP client itself, right, isn't that in system, right, like network, system.net dot, is it HTTP client? There it is. Now, is HTTP client next to it? No. Fine, I'll just request that, which means I'm going to move that into my imports, so I don't have to keep typing it. Go away. Alright, so now I can go back over to here. If I go up here, I'm not going to receive an HTTP client. There we go. Alright, fantastic. So now I'm receiving an HTTP client. What I want to be able to do, this one we're going to need to work on, but this, I want to be able to say HTTP client, get JSON async, and this is going to be their schedule. I just need their, right, I'm returning their schedule. So schedule, and I want to get it from, right, and I'm purposely mocking up some data here, right? I'm purposely breaking this, and I don't have these features yet. So let's go to schedule like this, right? What do you mean it doesn't have definition for it? I just saw it. Hang on. Get JSON async. There it is. Schedule. String request URI. Schedule. That should work. But this is async, so I'm going to need to turn this into an async task of type schedule so that I can await that, and that'll work. I thought the Preview 7 release notes said HTTP was a default global import at the framework level. That's what I thought also, but it wasn't there. Didn't see it. So, then that's not going to be this person. Actually, I can just return that directly instead of having to go through this, right? So what I'm going to do now is grab that data that I was going to use, go back up here into my server-side project. Let me add a folder for controllers, because I like to keep my projects neat and tidy. Haha! Yeah, right. You know what I mean?
You have to ask me nicely.
Jack, would you please make a controllers folder?
What's that?
Controllers. You know, those things that allow us to interact with the server as an API.
What's that?
You know, a controller. It's an API controller with read-write actions. Yeah, using Entity Framework. Sure, do that. That sounds good. Do that. My model class is going to be schedule. Data context class is my DB context. Schedules controller. Sure, that sounds good. So build the project. It's not going to succeed at building the project, or maybe it will. What do you think of the new camera there, chat room? Yes, I know. And now you're not going to let me build that controller, are you? Are you, Visual Studio? I'm going to change that to just schedule controller. Yeah, that's not going to... It's not going to build it for me and give me that automatically generated, really cool looking controller that I want. Nope. All right, fine. Gonna let me do that? No. Image quality is crisp. I assume you asked about the camera pointing at you. Yes, this one. I like it. There we go. So, one thing that I've been doing in all of my projects that I want to make sure that you folks understand, appreciate some of the things that I'm doing here. I'm going to move this out and put this up here on, no, star.star. Yeah, it comes first. I'm using hard tabs in my file, in my files. I want to make sure that every file uses tabs. And there was a great article that was on Reddit this week about using, yeah, it's green text, it's comments. This was actually generated for me. But there was a great article about using tabs in your text, in your code versus spaces. And it was a very practical response to the debate. It's more precise. Well, I only have to press tab once and it just figures it out and puts the right size in there, and you can make that, whatever size you'd like. Well, I like the precision. Everybody gets to see my code the way I intended it. Here's the thing. Not everybody has the same capabilities as you. It's actually an accessibility thing when you think about it for using tabs. And this one person, I got to find the article on Reddit about it. And see if I can bring this up here. It was very interesting to see this discussion about. Here it is. I want to share this. Boomy, there's a great reason. Screens are so different these days. We had somebody asking about using a 24-inch monitor. I have a 27-inch monitor. Somebody else might have a really ultra-wide monitor, and it might make sense to have tabs different sizes. But consider for those folks who can't see the monitor. Tab size is actually kind of important then. Or, right, maybe they've got a vision issue, right? They can see, but they can't see very well. They've got really big tabs because they've got very small tabs because they've got giant font size so they can see the text. Well, by using tabs, they can set the size of the tab specific in their editor. This one uses tab width 1 because they use gigantic font size. Somebody else because they've got a really wide monitor. When you have things in spaces, it becomes a little bit of an issue. So you can code on 3x2, 16x9, 21x9, 32x9. Let me link the thread here. I thought this was I've been a fan of tabs for a long time, and I don't want to start up a bit of a debate here. Too late.
Put the candle back.
Yeah, we're not going to be able to do that. But consistency across environments is absolutely a wonderful thing to have, except for accessibility. Why am I getting that? There's an accessibility thing that we're going to run into, and I want to be inclusive when I write code, particularly open source code, and I want everybody to be able to read it using whatever screen they're on, whether it's a phone, it's a tablet, it's a really wide monitor, or they're using they're using a reading browser, right? So, yeah, those ultra wide. I don't have a. Oh, Rambling Geek has one. You can't put the toothpaste back in the tube on this, but for the accessibility discussion, I can't debate it. And these two right here are really what cinched it for me. I want people to be able to see the code that I've written. All of that is great if Visual Studio would just respect the editor config. Was being funky on me for the solution. Is this file set up correctly? Should be. Right there, indent style tab. There are some places where there's a mix of them, and when I find places that there is a mix, I'll do Control A, Control K, D. Right there, you can see I did it. And when you look at my options over here, right? So text editor, I have my tab size set to 2 and keep them as tabs. So, right, when I change this to some other size, right, maybe you like 8, right? It should reformat those appropriately next time I open schedule controller, right? Well, there it is. It already formatted it there, right? Okay, why didn't you do that, Visual Studio? All languages. Where'd the tabs go? Hello? There we go. Yeah, keep tabs. Why didn't it do the reformat there? Yeah, I mean, it clearly formatted it properly there. And if I go back into the tab settings, that's where it is. And I change this back to my preference of 2 so that I can fit everything. It formats everything appropriately. So I'm happy about that. Not quite sure why it didn't inside the schedule controller we just wrote. So, yeah, that's a tab there, but whatever. I'm not going to get too much further. You use both. That's okay. So, I don't want to get too much into the argument. Look, if you enjoy using spaces, that's great. I want to make sure everybody can read my code using whatever size browser whatever size editor, browser. So I'm going to make sure that folks have access to it. Is this a nuanced bug in Visual Studio? You know what? I wonder if it's an issue with live share and multiple people looking at it. Could be. Let's set up a constructor here. I need to take in my DB context. Sure, DB context. And I'm going to control dot on that. Create and initialize a field for that. And I like to name my fields like that. So now I can create a get. So let's create a method for that. We're going to return, let's make it a task that returns I, action result. And I'm going to call this get by person ID. Int ID. Now, this is an HTTP get. And I can provide the template for this. So it's API controller, and after controller, well, it would be just the ID. And it's the person ID at this point, so that's okay. So actually, I don't need to provide that. It should just get it. Nope, that's not it. Where was this one? Let me see if I can re-grab that code. And now over here, I can say return DB context, get the persons dot include their schedule, right? Get include entity framework core. So include their schedule, then include their schedule items. Include schedule, then include their recurring schedules where the ID equals ID. I think we got it. Control Shift V will show me. Oh, I completely forgot about the clipboard history. Nice. Thank you for that, Boomy. Learned something new today. Points to Boomy. Well done. I thought you need to specify the name of the ID parameter in the route template. What I can do here. Right, that's returning a person. Because I need to route through that. So what I can do is not just return the person, right? So I've got the person, I want to return their schedule. And I want to await that. Make that first async. Now, that's not an action result, is it? So I need to return this as a JSON result, right? Well, no, I don't want to specify JSON. It's an iAction result. Yeah, this is telling me, yeah. Well, it is an async method right there, you turkey. ID is part of the default route. Yes. What did Rambling Geek say? Top left, there is a gap. Where? Where'd my mouse go? You can't see my mouse. Is there? I don't see it. It's in line with the DB context line. It says unholy TIG. Needs to be async. Oh, thank you. And task of type person does not contain a definition. All right, so we're going to make this var person equals that. And we'll return person dot schedule. Now that's right. Here's where I need to convert it to an iAction result. So if I say return OK, now I get an action result, and it'll format that appropriately for us. So now I can, now I can get by person ID, and it'll return to my components. Let me go back to the availability over here. That still needs help. But down here where we do schedules update, this is where we're going to want to do a, is it a post or a put? I always confuse these. What if a person is null? Well, right. So that's where we need to do, right? So that means it's required. It won't accept it if there isn't one. So what I can do, if person is null, return not found. Done. Okay. So update, and I always confuse post and put. Right? Put is the update. There is a first or default. That's probably a good idea, because first means it's going to require there to be one, or default means we'll get the null. Post is the add and put is the update. It says unholy TIG. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so now if I do HTTP, if we're doing an update, let's do a put. Public async task iAction result, because we're going to do this asynchronously, and we're going to make this update schedule. So we're sending the entire schedule over there and saying update this, save the changes. Well, we're saying add schedule item. That could end up being a large block there, you know? Hey, Crow's 4K. Yeah, all right, I'll add the ID here. So it appears as another entry. So that will capture the template and make it an ID. I thought was part of the default template. So if we're sending the schedule over, we're going to need to attach it. Oh, we're also, hang on. From here, let's do, what is it? Make read only. What's the read only? Right, there's a read only. Or as read only. As no tracking, that's what I want. Because I'm going to disconnect. What are we using for auth? We're currently using ASP.NET Identity, yes. Hey, good morning, Gutierrez. But we're going to get this piece working so that we're disconnected here. So that's fine that that's set up. The format that we're going to end up having here is await HTTP client, and it's going to be put JSON async. And I'm going to push my schedule. Now, why doesn't it? Well, this needs to be an async task. The request URI is going to be schedule. So that should now, yeah, put the content there. Now that's an update, so I also need to pass the ID, don't I? So it's going to be slash the schedule ID, which is that myschedule.id there. So let's just include it with a little bit of string interpolation. There we go. So now we're going to put at that location, and I'm going to say this is, I'm going to provide a hint here. That's coming from the body. And int ID, and I can give it a hint that that's going to be coming from the query string. Okay. I think I can do the exact same thing here, right there. I'm going to need to reattach the schedule. Right, let's put some underscores on these. So I'm referencing those. I don't think I need to add it explicitly there. Right, I think we can do that there. Save changes async. I'll wait on that. We still need to return something. So when it does behave successfully, we're going to return okay. Actually, we should return OK object result, shouldn't we? Should tell me what the I'm looking for that 201. Yes, I should attach the schedule. You're right. Schedule. So now it's attached. Apply the update. Save the changes. And right, I should probably do some sort of validation here. It's actually going to be done because API controller is here. So I think, actually, we don't need the validation. Won't the ID be part of the object already? It is. Yeah, I want the status code 201, right? Which is... Right, it's like... It's not okay, right? It's, attach is not new. No. Shoot. And it's not accepted. It's not a 202 accepted. Well, accepted at action. No, it's the 201. Suggesting I do content dot. The string content, the content type. No, I don't want to specify that. I want to do the. I want to be able to return the 201. ASP.NET Core. Created at action. There we go. The name of the action is... And the value... Well, I can give it the route values. Right? ID equals schedule.id. Oh, it's not the schedule ID, it's the person ID. Ooh. Ooh, you see that? Ay, Chihuahua. I drink G Fuel. Is this only for Blazor? The Razor file extension is new. These are the Blazor components that you're seeing here. Blazy says, I read conflicting opinions on where and when it is a good idea to use Entity Framework. Some say it is only good for small projects. With large enterprise projects, it is very, very slow. I'm wondering what you think about that, coming from a different language, so everything is kind of new in the .NET world. With every tool, it's got its place. It's got its... It can be used and it can be abused. For generating the SQL statement to fetch the person's schedule information here, this is pretty okay. I don't see a problem with this. And for doing this little bit of update, not a problem. When you have significant database logic that you need to go through, very complex queries, I would be tempted to wrap those up into a query object or into a stored procedure. You can still use Entity Framework to fetch that and rehydrate it back into the objects if you'd like. Excuse me. But I think there's definitely places where more complex data interactions should not use Entity Framework. Use it to get access to the database, do your query, and cast it directly into the object that you're looking for. Don't generate your SQL for that. So, what I'm going to run into here is I don't have the schedule ID that I'm requesting here. I have the person ID. I don't want to get it by the person ID. I want to get, if I actually pass the schedule ID in here, because I have that schedule ID as a claim inside my person, that works a lot better. So I think we're going to need to do something here where we get the schedule ID. Right, and even here, get JSON async for the schedule. We need to change this. We need a method here called getScheduleID. so that we get a person's schedule ID. And we're going to need to pass in here the schedule ID. So that I get that person's schedule. Yeah. Which, actually, my schedule should have it. I don't need to do this, right? I should be able to say that. Well, wait a sec. My schedule equals get available. This is what's getting the schedule, rats. So I don't have the schedule ID at this point. Well, maybe I do. Maybe it's in my schedule state. Maybe we put it in there. Does Earl.action work in Razor pages? It's a little bit different. So, every DBA will argue against using Entity Framework or any other object-oriented mapper, object relational mapper. I agree with you, Stelsey, because we're refactoring their job into an ORM. Yeah, they lose the ability to tune the database if you're using an object relational mapper. So in organizations where you have a very savvy database administrator who is working with you and tuning interactions with the database, you can still use Entity Framework, but you're going to end up running queries or executing procedures and hydrating objects directly from those interactions. But when you have that database administrator in play who can manage that abstraction for you, the things that you see for Entity Framework like this go away. And you end up doing things like, right, DB context, right, and you can do you can say database dot execute SQL command. Execute some SQL directly and load it up. There's also, where is it? Not interpolated. There is a way to execute the command and get back objects. And I'm forgetting it here. Right, you can database, but you can execute commands against the database and rehydrate it into the objects. Open the connection. Yeah. It's not something that I regularly do, but folks do it. Pac-Man Jr., good to see you, friend. We use Entity Framework on large models, but we also use Dapper when we want to do something a little crazy. Yes, Dapper's another great micro framework you can use. Using Entity Framework for the easier stuff, use Dapper for complex, says Blazy. Absolutely. Getting exception errors with live share. Oh no. Optimizing is its own black magic skill not everyone can acquire. Yep. Is core EF6 in core EF6 its database SQL query type. DB context database. Yeah. That it's a little bit. I don't think you can do that. Yeah, there is a way to do it, and like I said, it's not something I do regularly, and I don't need to do just yet, so I'm not going to dig into it. I'll leave that as a research item if you need that. Entity Framework does not preclude a database administrator. Yeah, true. If a lead developer doesn't understand what T-SQL the Entity Framework is running against the database, they have no place using it. So what Simon is suggesting here is, yes, you should have some understanding of what your object relational mapper is doing here, so that you don't inadvertently break things. So this is going to get the schedule ID and pass it in. So this is now a schedule ID here. So I'm going to change that to get by schedule ID, which means I don't need to start at persons. I can actually start at schedule. So let's change this. DB context schedules. I don't need to do it that way. I can start with just include schedule items. Include recurring schedules. First or default, where the schedule ID is that. Good. And this is now schedule. That makes things a lot simpler. On Entity Framework Core, product is only working for people. For me, that's surprising. I don't understand, crows. So, that's good. Created at action. I'm going to route this now to the get by schedule ID. Can I just make that a name of get by schedule ID? Can I do that? Will that work? Yes. Fantastic. All right, so now I've got my update method for down here. There. This is choking because this is now a task. So we need this to be on init async, which means this is going to return a task, which allows me then to await this. That turns this. Why don't you like that? Can only be used within. Oh, I forgot the async. Good. All right. Got rid of a lot of red lines. I need the schedule ID property to be in my schedule state, so nope, I can't control on that. Let's look at my schedule state. Doesn't exist. Data.schedule_state. It's over here. I'm going to put a schedule ID in here. So that's available. Still need to populate it. I'm going to put an obsolete. Nah, that's not a good idea. I know what to do. I was going to throw an exception on this. Not implemented exception. Let me leave it the way it is. All right. So back over in availability, I think. So that clears out that. That's done for that put. Here's another update doing the exact same thing. So let me move that up there. And I should be able to do that interaction as well, which means I need to make this an async task. That worked. Good. All right. I think that moved everything. Oh yeah. You know what? We should just
Do it!
Yeah. What is the difference between redirect to action and created at action? The created at action method, good question. This will return a 201 created status. This will return an indication that says, yes, I created that object, and here's the location it was created at. So it's a response that says everything was successful. The redirect to action is what will turn around and actually send you to, it'll change where the browser is at and navigate to another location. Darn Skippy, that's right. I can do this the way I want it to. And like magic, everything works. That damn index. Show you. All right. So that's done. So I think, so availability, I don't see any red here in my, in the gutter over here. But I've still got plenty more of these things to fix. So I have a way to get the schedule. I have a way to update the schedule. Let me look at... So that was availability. Let's look now at day picker. Let's see if there's anything in here we need to look at. Schedule state. I'm not seeing any red in the gutter over here, but I'm not... I just want to take a peek. Nope, that one's good. Because that's just formatting our month view. Day view. This one looks good as well. All right. Manager schedule view. Let's see how this one looks. No, that one's good too. There we go. Injecting schedule repository. Look at that right up top. So we need to get schedules for everybody. Hey, Dunks R Us. Welcome. Good to see you. Boomy says, I think my Visual Studio doesn't understand .razor. The code is all white. Yeah, you need the latest preview version. This version that I'm using, you can see here in the corner, it's preview. I always use the preview versions here on stream, so you can see the latest things and we can break things as they're coming along here. But this is 16.3, preview 1, and I'm using .NET Core 3.0 preview 7. This is the version that was just released this week. Jeff, thanks so much for the follow. I appreciate that, and thank you for the kind cheer there. Yeah, we'll make a donation to Coder Dojo. Now, why didn't that pop up? I think, give me 1 second here. Let me just look at Stream Elements real quick. It should have popped that up. There we go. Thanks so much for the cheer. I think I might have set a minimum of 10 for that. Let me just take a quick peek here. This one. Yeah, the one I don't think it'll show. The Capagen, it'll show it. But the alerts, I think, are set. Let me see the alerts real quick here. There we go. Cheer alert. Yeah, the minimum amount is 10 for the alerts to pop up for a cheer. So cool. All right. All right. So here, this one. Thank you for the doggies. Appreciate that. So this one is injecting a schedule repository, and this goes back to what we were saying before. We can't access the database directly because it's hidden behind a firewall. Right now, it's a SQLite database sitting out there, right? It's a file on disk. So we need to chop this. We need to get this out of here so we can get everybody's schedules using our new controller. So I'm going to go back up here to the schedule controller. I'm going to create another method here to get everybody's schedules for between 2 dates. Jeff asks, any idea when Razor components are coming out? So the release for, they renamed it back to Blazor components, but the release for this is scheduled to come out with .NET Core 3. The server-side features will be completely supported. The client-side features will still be in a preview, but the client-side features are pretty solid. And that is scheduled for September 23rd, 24th, 25th during .NET Conf. .NET Conf, we will have the announcement, the launch of .NET Core 3. There's a great keynote scheduled with, I can share this, with Scott Hunter, where he's going to announce, he's going to share all the great things that are in .NET Core 3, and he's going to push that button so that you can download and start using .NET Core at the end of September. The version that was just released, this Preview 7, does include a Go Live license. There'll be a Preview 8 that comes out with some bug fixes in August, and the final round of bug fixes that polish that gold release will be at the end of September for .NET Conf? Thanks for the question, Jeff. I really appreciate it. And,
Right.
yeah. We're gonna move on here. Boomy asks, is the purpose of Blazor to be a better alternative to front-end libraries like Angular and React for .NET developers? I get this question a lot about Blazor. The purpose isn't to be a better alternative. It's to be a more comfortable alternative. Some folks prefer writing code in C#. Some folks prefer having that interaction with their code. So it's not a better alternative, but it's to take advantage of the WebAssembly technology. And if that's something that you prefer to use, you want to continue using C#, fantastic, you can use it. Same reason that folks who like Node like using Angular, like using Vue, React, whatever choice. So it's up to you. So that's why we're using it here. It works great, and it means that you can run compiled code live in the browser. And you can do other things besides just formatting angle brackets. You can do some great things with 3D objects and modeling live on the canvas right there inside the browser. So it was Blazor, then it was Razor Components. Yeah, naming is hard, Jeff. Naming is really hard. But I think cooler heads prevailed here, and we got to keep the cool name too. You use .NET Core and Angular all the time. Fantastic. It's going to be sad to leave Angular behind since I made so many friends. You don't have to leave Angular behind. You can continue using Angular with .NET Core. It's up to you. Frank says, .NET New Blazor server-side creates only one project, but in the pizza demo there are 2 projects. Actually, there are 4. In the pizza demo, there are 4 projects because you have the server-side project, just like we have here, that has our interactions with the database. You also have the client-side project. That's what's being compiled up and rendered for use with WebAssembly. You've also got a shared project that contains objects that are shared between both projects. And I forget what the 4th one is. But there's a 4th project as well. Gutierrez says, I'm a little lost with .NET Core 3. It's like 3 is all about Windows Forms, WPF, and Blazor. Yes. The first 2 won't work on Linux or Mac. Correct me if I'm wrong. You're correct. They won't work on Linux or Mac with the release. You are also correct that they're completely open source as part of this release. You're also correct that there are updates in it, Jeff. There are updates for it, for WinForms and WPF so that it supports high DPI screens. There's a lot of folks that have high DPI screens now, and the only way that that Microsoft was going to be able to make that work with .NET Framework would have been to break compatibility with other folks with older versions of .NET Framework. And the more and more they pushed against it, the more and more they broke older applications. And if there's one thing that I think you see with .NET and with Microsoft products, is they do everything possible not to break compatibility. It's a mantra. Don't break backwards compatibility. Provide significant notice, obsolete things, so that when that change does happen, folks have significant time to migrate. So, high DPI will be very cool. Let's write some code. Thank you. So we're going to get these schedules for everybody and make them available here. So I think when we talk about getting the schedules, that's going to need to be a post, but I'm not doing an update. Right? It's like I want to do a get, and I want to bring it as a header or something. Right? So let's think about this, because I need to pass in some extra parameters here. Right? So I'm going to say get schedules for date range. Not data range, date range. And I want to pass 2 dates. Now, passing dates are always tricky. Well, let's put it like that to start. We're going to make this an HTTP GET. But where am I getting these two? I feel like I need to get them from the body. Which means that when I do my GET, I need to pass 2 dates as part of the body. I think we can do that, can't we? Ultramark, you're late again. Nah, it's okay. You're all right. If the query is in the URL, then use a GET. If I put these in the URL, I can change the format, I guess. Sure. All right. Let's... Right? From query. That's what I'm thinking. So then I'm going to change my syntax here. So instead of just going to ID, and this actually needs an ID here as well. Oops, forgot the paren. I think I want to put an extra bit in the path here. Something like for range, start time, end time. Capture it like that, I think. Hey, the Michael Jolly. Chilling before prep, nice. So I think that gets me what I need. So now if I go back over here, there, instead of schedule repository get schedules async, that's what we're going to end up having to do. I'm going to inject HTTP client, and I still have to configure that injection. I'm going to change this to HTTP client, get JSON async. Right now, schedules is an IEnumerable of schedule. Great. I think I want to get that as like that. And I'm going to be going to schedule. Right, and I'm formatting this as for range. And start time, end time. So what are the 2 times? Well, it would have been display begin date and display end date. I want to format those appropriately so that it's those dates. So, right, where'd it go? That. To short date. Do I need another? Oops. And it's going to be display to short date. And I can get rid of all this, but I'm actually going to keep it. All right, let's see what we got here. Okay, that's the URL that I'm fetching. No, that's right. We're okay there. Did I drop my schedule state? No, it's up there. We don't have schedule repository, so I can get rid of that. I should be able to say schedules equals this, right? And I'm actually going to say, well, it was in schedule repository over here, which is just returning db.schedules. Right, and I wasn't actually filtering by the dates yet. So let's put the filter on there. You know? Oh, what's up? Oh my gosh, why am I not hearing the attention? Nylox is... I think if you're going to do it like that, it needs to be from route, not from query. You know what? You're right. Try that attention command again. Let's see. There it goes. This one should be from route also then. And I need a from route on that, don't I? Okay. So I need to put a where on this, right? S dot. Oh boy. This is going to be a complex where. Because I'm going to need to look at all the schedule items that occur between these dates. All of the recurring schedules that occur between these dates. I don't need that yet. I'm going to turn this around and just make this. Return that. Oh yeah, as no tracking. To array async. And we're going to put an await on that. And it's going to be an OK, right? Don't you like that? Okay, await on that. Yeah, that's what I wanted. All right. To do filter the scheduled data appropriately. Each schedule item and recurring schedule and schedule exception. So Pluto Nan asks, what does from route do? From route, this is a hint. This is telling the compiler, here's where you're going to go to get this field. From route says get it from the URL. Get it from one of these tokens inside the URL. From query says it's going to be question mark something, and that's where you're going to get it from. So this needs to be handled here. Let's see. We need... What else are we missing here? I need to, at some point, configure that HTTP client. Schedule repository, I think... I can get rid of this. I don't need that. Or that. Which means I can go down into startup and I can yank out that. That doesn't need to be included either because schedule state is now down here. Okay. We have these authorized pages. These are going to go away as we continue moving. We're not going to get to the security bit today, are we? Yep, SP is a stored procedure, Boomy. SP is short for stored procedure. You may hear some people also abbreviate a stored procedure as a SPROC. You'll hear folks refer to it that way as well. Aziz Areno TV. This is C#. C# with ASP.NET, and we're compiling to run against WebAssembly. So this manager schedule view, this should run properly now. Now wait a sec, that schedules is an IEnumerable of schedule items. It doesn't know how to place it on the thing. I don't think that's going to be right. I don't think that's going to be right at all. I think we need to get the times. I think we need to get the time slots for everybody. Right? We need to expand everybody's schedule and show here's the time slots that folks are working. Where are my tests? You're right, Nilox. Well, I wasn't finished this particular block of code here. So that's why it's not quite working. Hyper asks, would HTML5 games be viable, or should they just be apps for app stores now? They're very viable. They're cross-platform. They work on every browser. If you build with WebAssembly, you're going to get near-native performance. You're also going to be able to compile and ship code into the browser that executes within the sandbox, just as it would with JavaScript. I would look at the other advantage you're going to get of those HTML web-based, browser-based games is that you're going to get folks able to interact with them without having to go through the App Store. The App Store has become a little bit of a gatekeeper here in 2019. There are folks who don't want to use the App Store because if you want to use microtransactions in your games, going through the App Store means you're surrendering 30% to Apple, to Google, to whoever owns that App Store. So that's a couple of reasons why folks don't use it. HTML5 works in the Tesla browser while driving. Your passenger will not be bored. Thanks, Boomy, for that tip. That's pretty good information to know right there. And then you'll be able to use it everywhere, right? So why so many people know PHP? Asks Aziza Areno TV. PHP is not really used in many places outside of WordPress, Etsy, and Facebook. Those are the big places that you see it used. And WordPress is 30% of the internet. It's a fantastic language to use to build applications, to build web applications. It's script-based. It's interpreted at the time it's run. That's also the problem with it. If somebody can upload PHP code into your web server because they overflow something, you mishandled a variable, or you just flat out don't have the permission set up properly on your web server, and somebody can upload a PHP script, that gets interpreted. There is no compile step. What you put up there is what's executed. And they can do really nasty things. WordPress is a massive chunk of the internet. Robert Tables is right. Massive. 30%. I mean, 30% of the internet is WordPress. And we took some steps earlier, about a year ago, to use PeachPie. And that's a project that allows you to take PHP and compile it with the .NET Core compiler and run compiled PHP on the server. This way you don't end up with that interpolation that's happening live on your web server. If it's not compiled, if it's not one of the PHP pages that you uploaded, it doesn't run. So you get all the code security capabilities of .NET. You also get tremendous performance from the .NET Core web server, codenamed Kestrel. It's the fastest commercial web server that's available. So PeachPie has become a pretty good alternative for folks. The other, Copperbeard is right. 30% of the internet is WordPress, 65% of the internet is cats, and 5% is Game of Thrones video. Yeah, I agree with the chat room there. PHP in high school, yeah, it's easy and free to learn how to use. It's nice. Nothing against it. Folks have been very successful with it. It's easy to make mistakes, and WordPress is a significant attack vector that folks go after. Thoughts on Rust, asks Hyper. I don't know enough about Rust to really comment on it. I know a lot of people are happy with Rust, but I haven't spent enough time with it to comment on it. For security reasons, sure, but PHP as a language itself is terrible, especially in 2019. Well, PHP has definitely changed and gone somewhere, yes. No hat change yet? No. Not it. This is a normal breakout session, normal live coding session today, so no hat changes today. And Robert Tables is right. Every language has its warts. C# is trying to do many, many different things here. Many different things. And folks are going to run into issues with it. So, you're going to get confused. You're going to break things. The new features coming in C# 8 are intended to help make it a little bit easier for you to be successful, to avoid null reference exceptions with the nullable types and the enhancements that are coming with that. We'll hear more about that in September with the release of .NET Core. Really, really great stuff that's coming. Summer deal on Blizzard hats. What you talking about? Blizzard games, Copperbeardy? Oh, I'd love to hear more about that. I love me some Blizzard games, and yeah, I'm always interested in getting some new hats. One thing that I want to make sure that folks like Copperbeardy know, Hugo, I had all of my envelopes together to send out stickers yesterday. Got over to the post office and they were closed. And I need to send some of those internationally, so I need to get the postage right. So we're going to be over there tomorrow morning sending those out. So 25%. Oh man, I'll have to check that out. Hyper loves Java, but that JVM, yeah. The thing that Java has going for it is great enterprise support. Same thing with .NET, great enterprise support. So large organizations that want to be able to call someone for support, you'll see them drift towards Java and .NET. Nothing wrong with any of those other programming languages, but when folks need commercial support, they need to know who to call. They need to know who's going to be there on the other end of the phone to fix it. So, all right. Async voids something alerting to use. Where? Isn't this int a nullable type? Yes, it is. But you're going to be able to put that on reference types as well, so that you can force things to be nullable or not. Right now, it's going to change the way it behaves so that you end up managing null references a little bit better. You'll see that coming with C# 8. So, and I'll definitely have somebody from the team join us to talk about C# 8 as we get closer to the fall. All right. I think, let me try compiling the web client project here. Let's see if our Blazor stuff works. No, we've got a couple things we need to fix here. Date time does not contain a definition for too short date and no accessible extension method. What are you talking about? What are you talking about, Willis? Display begin date is a date time. Of course there's a too short date. Are you kidding me? No. Rebuild. You had a professor who said to never use var if you know the data type you're using getting. Okay. That's fine. If folks want to explicitly declare the variable type, that's great. Why am I getting this error on the short dates? The typer namespace availability could not be found. Let's look at this one. This is the availability CSHTML in the web. This page is going away entirely. In fact, this was the old server-side page that we don't need anymore. Goodbye. Okay. I feel better about that already. Love deleting code. It's so good to delete code. Too short. Why is it telling me that there's no too short date? Too short date string. Are you kidding me? Built that. Yeah, where are you complaining about that now? Ah, there you go. See, now with the camera moved over here, you can see exactly where the build is happening over there. You see it says ready and the little thing is still compiling. Yeah, come on. Show it there. Come on. Do it. Does using var versus the data type used add extra time to it or memory, asks Hyper. Actually, Hyper, it adds very minimal time to the compiler. It's the compiler that is going to look at that and turn it back into the appropriate type. It's a shortcut. It's something for us humans to be able to see and use. It's strictly syntactic sugar. So If you want to enforce it to be used one way or another, you can do that. You have that option in the code with some of the features in the editor config capabilities. You can set it up to behave however you'd like. And enforce, yes, you must always declare the type. Never allowed to use var. You can put that configuration in there. So it becomes a breaking build error. A local parameter named I cannot be declared in this scope because that name is used in exists. What? Are you kidding me? Break my build, I tell you. Time slots any I equals, well, okay, so I'm in, okay, so I can't do that there. Fine. Then I'll make this time slot is TS. How's that sound? You like that? You like apples? How about that? Damn apples. Try that again. Build my solution. Not that it's going to work. And if you're interested in seeing what this looks like. No, not attention. Wrong command. Wrong link. There's the link. Let's see here. Okay. Still building. That feels good that it's still building. I need to wire up. Oh my gosh. What kind of an error is that? Ew. Manager view. The typer namespace name components does not exist. Okay. Manager view I was going to get rid of also. So, just because you complained about it, bye-bye. Alright. Clean solution. Try this again. Oh yeah, that's a Blazor error, all right. Oh, mama. Professional build breaker right there. Copper Beardy loves seeing those Imperial emotes. Yeah. Do I need... If we get to more emotes, do I need a bot derpy emote? A derpy bot? That might be fun. So it still says ready. Let's try doing the build now. See what happens. There we go. Come on, do the thing. I'm excited that we're over 7,100 followers here. I don't think we're going to hit 8,000 though. At our current rate, I don't think we're going to hit it. So, we'll see. We'll see. Tell your friends, tell your families. Oh boy. Oh, that's ugly. Create app host task failed unexpectedly. See, this tells me that it's still building something in the background, right? It's still working over here. Doing a thing. That's going to be a problem. But everything else looks like it ran properly. You got gifted a sub for here over the weekend. Nice. Oh, for her birthday over the weekend, Copper Beardy says. Oh, for Imperial. Yeah. Oh my gosh. I'm a big fan of what Imperial does. She's really done a lot to help shape the creative community here on Twitch. That and she's a tremendous person. So I have met Misty in the past at TwitchCon last year. Looking forward to seeing her again this year. Whip Dancer says enforcing explicit variable type declaration is purely a style issue. Completely agreed, and it's something that the team, the Roslyn team, would explain to you. If you're interested, you really want to learn more about it, you can dig into the Roslyn. The compiler code is open source and available on GitHub if you want to see it. But Whip Dancer says, I've worked in shops that have had the rules in place to prevent using var in places where they didn't care. Yeah. Pluto Nan asks, how do I plan an app like this? Do I do any preparation before stream? So we've been rolling on this same project for a while. So I more or less pick up right where we left off. And we have some issues out here that we've been going through so that I can come back and touch on these each time we start a stream. And I know where I left off last time. Just pick up from there and continue writing. Just like if you'd sit down in the morning to work on code at your workstation, at your desk, at the office. So, this is still doing something over here to load IntelliSense. I worry about that. Let's try this one more time. See if we can get this to rebuild. Okay, that moved across a little bit faster. Mr. Couture, thank you for the follow. I appreciate you joining us and look forward to seeing you in the chat room. I'm pointing at this camera. You're on that camera. Persian Luffy, welcome. Thanks so much for joining us. Yeah, there we go. So, let's see. Why? Come on, build. Rebuild all failed, and it's in here when it's trying to reference all these packages. It's just grumpy. Mono runtime targets. I have a feeling... Let's think about this for a minute. What if so this references the client project. So when in the client project, the web client, our WebAssembly project references the domain and the scheduling. What if I pull that reference? Let the schedule manager, let the thing that's actually expanding and working on people's schedules, what if we let that operate server side so that we don't interact with it directly? I think that feels like a good strategy. Then we can move that into an application server if it gets too busy and let it do its thing over there. And that's something in schedule state that it doesn't know how to do right here. Let's do this. This expands the schedule for the current schedule that's in here. I'd really like this to not do anything here. And have this move to server controller. Let it happen over there so that I don't end up breaking and needing it here. Where was that other error? Where else is it at? Ah. So I can get rid of that reference. Now let's see what happens if I build. If I can get that web client to build properly. Do it. Do it. Come on.
Everything is awesome.
Oh yeah. That built properly. I'm feeling good about that. Okay. So I've got a good build on that. Let me see if I can go over to the server now. Oh no. Oh no. It's the circle of patience. And Visual Studio is waiting. Waiting. Come on now.
Bueller. Bueller.
What are you doing?
Bueller. Bueller.
I think this is a live share
Bueller.
thing is what's going on there. Okay, here's what to make sure, right, I'm going to look at my test explorer over here. Right? It's going to run all my tests here. 16 haven't been run yet. It's going to run the tests. Whip Dancer asks, do I have a FAQ or something that covers my dev environment tools setup? Check out in my GitHub. There you go. Check out on my GitHub, there is a live stream repository there that you can click into and you can see more about my configuration. This says it still hasn't run yet. Yeah, go, run it. Do it. Do the thing. Go.
You have to ask me nicely.
I did. I clicked the button, Jack. Come on, run. You know?
What'd you do?
I clicked it. It looks like it's running. There we go. All right, everything ran positively here. We got good tests coming out of this. But here's what I want to do to make sure that I don't get too far out of line, and that I remember some of these to-dos that I dropped in here, like this one. I'm gonna make this throw new not implemented exception. And I'm going to write a test to expose that this thing isn't done yet, right? So I have test scheduling down here. Yeah, that's fine. Whatever. Actually, that editor config feels like it's in the wrong place then. So that's on Schedule Manager. So I should be able to also add, or do I add a second test project? Yeah, let me just add I'm going to add a folder here for now. We'll refactor it later. And this is for schedule state. I'm going to add a class. And this is for expand schedule. Okay. Too many. There we go. All right. Public void should expand the schedule. Right? Should do the thing. Right? So there should be a, not assert, arrange, act, assert equals new data, new schedule state. Now this, web client dot data dot schedule state. Nope. Oh, you're gonna kill me here, aren't you? Nope. I was hoping, I'm not moving it. I was hoping it would prompt me, oh, you got to add a reference to the project over there so you can get it. So I want this one. Right, and if I say web client dot, is that going to find it? No. Rats. Let's do this. I'm going to alias the type. Equals Fritz, resource management, web client, data. That works. All right. Right. Control dot on that. Get my using statement. And now this is going to be expand schedule. And I'm supposed to pass in 2 dates here, aren't I? Yeah. I'm not going to pass anything. Now I should pass the 2 dates. So let's just say date time dot today. Date time dot, there is no tomorrow. Oh, listen to that. There is no tomorrow. Add 2 days. Add days. 2. That should throw an error. So if I look at Test Explorer over here, there we go. See, it's already detected this new one. And if I build, it should fail. So that, right, I know this thing needs to be done. How do I live life without ReSharper? I don't need ReSharper. Build succeeded, and we should see this. Run this test. Got tired of ReSharper. Oh, okay. Some of the criticisms I hear about ReSharper is it takes up a lot of memory. I've heard people say that they don't like the way it interacts with Visual Studio. Some folks really like it. Some folks really like Code Rush. Yeah, Code Rush is pretty nice. Our friend Code Rushed, that's Mark Miller. Can we get a shout out for Code Rushed? He's showing how to use Code Rushed and how to use Code Rush and building some cool stuff on his stream a couple days a week as well. So, is it running the test? Should have run the test, right? Thank you, Ancient Coder. I appreciate that. So there we go. System not implemented exception. I know that this isn't running properly. That's fine. That's all I need. It's a marker so that I know I need to go and fix something. But I know that my client project works. So the next piece that I need to do, now that I have these over here, there's that stupid index with the wrong naming. I'm going to rename this again to index stuff, and I should be able to take this back to index and have it remember my casing properly now. Yeah, there we go. Tough guy. Cool. All right. Just be nice to your sysadmins. Always be nice to your sysadmins. Red-green unit testing is great for tracing things you haven't implemented yet. Absolutely, Stelzy. Oh, yeah. So, I think... Right? I should be able to run the project now. This won't show anything, and I don't have a login. I don't have the login built yet. But I'm looking at the time, and we are long at this point. So I think I'm going to take some action items to come back to here. Even though we didn't get to the authentication and authorization, we did get things moved appropriately here. Right, there we go. I got the new G Fuel flavor. I just haven't opened it yet. I'm trying to go through the other ones that I have here. So, for the two of you that are connected on LiveShare, you're going to get a copy of this opening in your browsers, if I have everything configured properly. And we won't be able to log in. I think, yeah, we need to fix the header bar there as well. That's not right. So I've got a couple items to fix here, a couple of issues that we should open. But this is running... yeah, that's fine. We're running with WebAssembly here. These things, yeah, I've got some fixes to still drop in. There it is, WebAssembly and Mono. If I go over to the network and we refresh, there's Mono. There we go. And there's all my code as DLLs and all the supporting code that are being delivered, even Cron Espresso. See, if we move Cron Espresso out, it's one less thing to deliver. And that's, right, that's coming in at, go away. Right, 8K, that's not bad. But that's one less thing to deliver if I can remove that. Which branch would be best to PR into, or would you rather wait until you have things more fixed up before the view model refactoring? So let's do this. I've got a couple things here that are broken that we need to fix before we can get back in, before I can finish getting security working and all that, right? Security I need next so that I know who you are and I can paint and the availability controls on screen properly. But let's save where I am at this point. We've got the project building. The components are available. So I think we're pretty close. I think the fonts and things aren't being referenced properly. We're going to need to change those references so they get properly extracted there. Let's create a couple issues to track what it is that we found and what our next steps are here. Bug header bar in web client is not formatted properly. And I will label that as bug. Help wanted if someone wants to take a look at it. And I'm going to put that on Schedule availability is our first project that we're trying to get done here. I'll create another issue. Enable security, authentication, and authorization in web clients. You know what? Let's call this security in web client. And I'm going to put this as enable authentication on the server. We need that piece built. Build controller to send authentication and claim information to the web client. Build web client assets to enforce the authentication authorization. And we did that in the Blazor workshop. So we know how to do all three of these. I've only done it a couple times, so we need to figure that out and get those added into the mix. I'm going to mark this as an enhancement. Help wanted if somebody wants to take a look at it, certainly. It's not a good first issue. It's a little bit of work here, and I'll add that to the schedule availability. We need add menu item for availability. So in web client, we need the ability to navigate to the availability page. That one I think might be a good first issue. If somebody wants to try that, that shouldn't be too bad to define the availability component as a page and be able to wire that up. I'm going to need a similar menu item for the manager availability report. Yeah, I don't. So this is an enhancement, good first issue, help wanted, and I'll put that on schedule availability. These things, folks might be able to blast through really quick and get a bunch of this. Security and client, oxymoron. Oh. Juan, I hope I pronounced that right. Is that a cherry blue keyboard? Yes, I have cherry blue switches. There's information about my keyboard. Cherry MX Blues, you are correct. So, I think those are the few issues that we're at this point. Oh, need to expand schedules on the client. No, on the server. We should handle schedule expansion on the server. And by schedule expansion, I mean calculate the exact time slots that people are available and are not available. With a new controller and methods to support. So let's call this time slot controller with get method to fetch a specific schedule and expand it. Expand it and return just the time slots. Add a get method to expand all schedules for a given time range. For a given time range. Expand them and return the time slots. Yeah, I think that's a long one. That's a big one that's going to happen there. That's an enhancement. Sure. And I think that'll address a couple of those things. Who's going to do that stuff? If you're interested, if anybody's welcome to submit a pull request here. Otherwise, we'll take care of it either offline or on another stream. This one, you know what? I'm going to assign myself to this. Let me work on this one. And I'm going to take that help wanted label off. Because this is a little bit bigger, and I want to make sure this is done the way that I want to see this piece through. But if you do submit a pull request and we merge it in, we'll put your name up on the crawl up at the top, so to indicate, to reflect that you helped out with the project. I think that's all I want to address for now. Let's merge in my changes here to my repository. Let's clean things up. I always got to clean things up here as we wrap up. So let's... The view model issue, absolutely. I'm going to give you a place to work on that. Let's put one more issue here. Create view models for the Blazor components to support future unit testing. We should start using what is it? Is it base component model? View models with the Blazor components. I forget what they're called. I forget the name of it. I'm going to mark this as enhancement help wanted because this is not trivial. I'm not going to assign it to a project. If it gets done now, great. If it doesn't, that's okay. We can hold off and see it happen in a bit. So, yeah. Let's add everything that's new here. Commit. Finished migrating components. So they're now in the web client, but we need to still clean them up and make them available. There we go. I'm going to push that up so it's available in my version of the project. Yep, there it is. So I should be able, here we go. So we're going to send a pull request in. Yes, it's able to merge. Whole lot of changes here. But eventually when we merge it up into, I don't want to put it into master. I want to put it into the feature branch. Yeah. Cool. Continued work on the schedule UI. Oh my gosh. Look at that. I burned through my Mario music. Finish that. Create the pull request. We'll merge the pull request. Yep. Squash and merge. Squash and merge. I don't want to squash and merge. I want to do just a straight merge at this point. Yeah. And we'll squash and merge as we push it out. Cool. No! Why did it delete that? I didn't want you to delete my branch. Cool. All right. Thanks so much, everybody, for tuning in. I really appreciate it. If there's if there's an issue here that you're interested in, like Simon, drop your name on it, and I will assign it to you. It's not a problem, and I hope you enjoy what we're working on here. I hope it makes sense. I hope you learned something as we worked through this here today. Let me see who's streaming out there so we can set up a raid and check out some of our friends. Oh my goodness. Let's see here. Let's do this. You know who we haven't raided? Thank you for the follow, Juan. I really appreciate it. You know what? Let's raid Lies Live. It looks like they're over there working on, it just says science and technology and not occult. Yeah, working on their game. Fantastic. So let's set up a raid. Lies Live is another member of the Live Coders team, and they're just like me, teaching you how to build, write code here live on Twitch. So we're gonna set up that raid right now. There we go. If you're a subscriber, copy that first line of text. If you're not a subscriber, that's okay. Grab the second line of text, copy it onto your clipboard, get ready. We're going to head over and we're going to say hello to Lies Live. That's a message that we're going to drop in there to announce our presence and let them know that we're there to support them and follow along with their project. Thanks so much, everybody, for joining me. I'll see you on Tuesday night. I'll be back at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific. What is that? 2200 UTC and 9 a.m. Sydney time. And I might be back Monday evening, Monday afternoon if we're going to do another live reading stream, reading The Invisible Man by H.G. Wells. All right, everybody. We will see you next time. Thanks so much for all the follows, all of the subscriptions, and all those cheers. Say hi to Lies Live for me. See ya.